first video I watched in Australia ran for 11 minutes and nobody did anything. And then the one guy who did something took the gun away and let the shooter go back, pick up another gun, and start firing again. Ed, we're here once again talking about rapid mass murderers attacking in places where people can't defend themselves. I don't know what to say to people anymore in places like this, that everything I saw was like, wow, that's a nice, easy, open shot. We could have stopped that threat from here. What do we do?
Well, what do we do?
Yeah, we can't.
There's
do anything.
nothing.
Yeah.
I can't help the people of Australia. I'm afraid. I would love to. I can't. It's very easy to say what you would have done under a horrible circumstance, but I do demand that human beings be given the option of armed resistance against something like a father and son have shown up and intend to murder people for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
We're still kind of fog of war, law enforcement-wise, but here in this country, we've seen circumstances in which law enforcement officers were not quick into the fight, as you might say. So as we figure out what actually happened there, it's, as usual, it's appalling and it's disgusting and it's disheartening. But as you said, how long did this go on?
Yeah. I saw a video that the shooting lasted 11 minutes. I watched 11 minutes of video, and maybe it was 10 minutes before the first police officer bullet put a bad guy down. And, following that, people were running up trying to stomp on the bodies. They were clearly traumatized and angry, and rightfully so. But I'm just as angry at anybody who says law enforcement will help you. That they will show up later, and then 60 people were shot and maybe 15 were killed. The numbers are still coming in, and we're a couple of days out from this already.
And I don't know if this is like in the UK. I don't know if this is a flying unit or whatever they call it, their armed branch. I don't know if it's one of those situations where they had to wait for somebody to come from flying group or flying squad or whatever who actually carries firearms. I'd heard that this happened very close to a police station. So you would hope that response would have been better, but we would hope response would have been better to a lot of things.
Yeah.
Whether it's happened here or there or anywhere, it's terrible, but it's, to me, the worst kind of terrible. This is the kind of terrible that could have been way less terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. And this, to me, the reason I'm even talking about it now is this: how much more proof do we need? I keep asking myself that. How much more proof do we need that an unarmed populace is in danger? They are just victims waiting for someone like this, because Australia has draconian gun laws. And the father in this father and son duo had a rifle permit.
Passed all their tests.
Passed all of their tests, did everything for them, and then went out to the range and practiced and was preparing for this. And unless government agents are going to go house to house to round up firearms, gun laws only we say this all the time, gun laws only impact law-abiding citizens.
It's almost as if anti-gun people want things like this to happen so they can say exactly what you said. What we need to do is go house to house. Even this guy who was a member of a gun club and passed all the tests did this. So, obviously, why do you think they don't wait, not until the bodies are cold? They don't even wait until the blood stopped running to immediately say, well, obviously.
Yeah, we need harsher gun laws. We need, and it's one of those things where it seems so obvious to us, and other people are not wrapping their head around this. I've been watching videos about this, and truly, some of the people who were there shooting video were so close that even any moderate amount of training would allow them to have put rounds on target and stop this. And you're right. What I'm seeing is that more crime means that we need more government. We need more police. We need more rules. We need to be allowed to defend ourselves. And almost simultaneously, Same thing happened in the U.S. A rapid mass murderer at Brown University in Rhode Island with terribly restrictive gun laws on a college campus that was a gun-free zone. 9 people shot and 3 people dead, I think it is. And again, how do we make people understand? Are they just willfully ignorant? They
Yes.
just don't want to understand?
Because I did a piece for the magazine a few years back about what people call arming teachers, right? Now, of course, it's not saying every teacher in the state of Minnesota shall carry a pistol. What it says is, hey, why don't we give teachers the option of carrying? And I posited that the reason that's never going to work in most districts is teachers will never let you pin them down and actually have to sign the paper that says yes or no. Because as soon as they have the option to carry and don't, if something happens, there's going to be a lot of questions like, hey, man, what was that? Like,
Yeah.
you're telling me you could have had a gun with you and didn't? A lot of people, for whatever reason, and it's whether it could be their religion, it could be whatever, they don't want the option available of being able to fight back. It is way less distasteful to them to think about becoming a martyr for the anti-gun cause by being murdered in a rapid mass murder. That's way less distasteful to them than the idea of actually doing anything to stay safer. They don't want to be in that position of responsibility.
Right. And I hear that all the time is 2 things from teachers. It's not my job. I shouldn't have to do that. And then, I will do anything to protect my kids. Well, anything except that.
Right.
You know, we go all the way back to Sandy Hook, where that poor school administrator was in such a desperate situation, she decided to counterattack with a butter knife. And you know what? I think that teachers, school staff members, anybody who wants to be armed at a school to protect children, when it gets to that point that you're like, this is pretty desperate, I'm going to take this butter knife and see what I can do, those people should be allowed to have firearms because we can trust them. We trust them in every other element of life. And then someone says, well, we can't really have guns at schools. You know, or worse yet, the people who tell me, do you want bullets flying in all directions? You know what? Yeah, I do. And one of those directions is flying back at the murderer.
We've already got them flying in the wrong direction right now.
Yeah, there's bullets randomly going all over the place, but none are going back at the murderer. And that's, you know, we say this all the time that we're not shooting to kill, we're shooting to stop the threat. Somebody in both of those instances should have been free to use their God-given right to self-defense to do whatever they could to attempt to stop that murderer. The brave guy who ran down there and disarmed the father of that father and son duo, took his gun away from him, and then didn't know how to use it or was afraid to use it to stop that threat. That father went back to the bridge, picked up another gun, and continued shooting. And to me, that's just horrible.